Hello, Warriors family. Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, your ultimate destination for everything happening with our beloved Golden State squad. Before we get into the heart of tonight's intriguing topic, be sure to tap that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a beat on our chase to bring you the most electrifying news and analysis straight from Chase Center. Tonight, we're peeling back the curtain on a storyline that has left every die-hard Dub Nation member scratching their head. Why in the world has Jonathan Kuminga suddenly found himself off the court, receiving DNPs for 3 consecutive games, even against teams whose young wings he theoretically should be containing? Just last season, Kuminga flashed the kind of two-way potential that had some analysts predicting he'd be a max contract player in Golden State's future. Now, whispers are emerging that something deeper is afoot. Could this be a strategic move by Coach Steve Kerr, or is there a more shadowy undercurrent at play? Stick around, because we're only getting started teasing out the rumors, and trust me, you're going to want to hear every bit of this. Let's rewind to mid-April. The Warriors, fresh off the Jimmy Butler trade that shook the league and altered our rotation, were riding high. Klay Thompson had rediscovered his stroke, and Draymond Green's defensive mastery was in full display. Among that triumvirate, Kuminga, only 21 years old but already showing flashes of elite athleticism and scoring prowess, seemed poised to carve out a significant role. He was averaging over 20 points and nearly 7 rebounds when facing the Houston Rockets this season, reminding fans of his ability to explode for 30 in previous contests. Yet, just as the playoffs loomed, his name started disappearing from the rotation report. Here's the crux. Reports indicate that Coach Kerr simply doesn't trust Kuminga alongside his newest acquisition, Jimmy Butler. According to internal sources, Kawhi Leonard's midseason suspension aside, Steve Kerr has prioritized two-way reliability and defensive cohesion over raw upside. When Butler joined the roster, the calculus shifted. Suddenly, every lineup featuring Draymond, Steph, and Butler commanded a net rating north of plus 10.20. Conversely, combinations including Kuminga plummeted to nearly half that efficiency. Could it be that the statistical drop-off alone sealed Kuminga's fate? Or is this more personal, a matter of fit, mentality, or even untold locker room dynamics? Let's talk specifics. Back in March, Jonathan returned from an ankle injury and immediately encountered a different-looking Warriors squad. Without Jimmy, Kuminga was a focal point, handling isolation sets and shouldering a hefty usage rate. He even dropped 30-plus points against the Rockets early in the season. Recall that frenetic April duel where his slashing drives and high-flying dunks electrified the Oracle faithful. But once Butler arrived, everything changed. Suddenly, Kuminga's three-point shooting regressed to around 17%, far below the league average and, critically, well below the Warriors' team norm, where we hoist nearly 50% of our shots from deep. It got to a point where Steve Kerr reportedly began limiting his minutes because he simply couldn't afford those shooting woes in high-leverage matchups. Could this slump be chalked up to rust from the ankle? Maybe. But here's where speculation heats up. Teammates and coaching staff have hinted that Kuminga's mental engagement has wavered. Draymond Green, ever the candid leader, said publicly that staying mentally locked in is half the battle when you're coming off the pine. Does this imply that Kuminga hasn't been giving his all in practice, or that he's struggling to buy into a bench role after tasting potential starter minutes? Some insiders suggest that there's tension between Kuminga and Butler, as though Jimmy's star power and relentless approach have cast a long shadow over the young prospect. Could Butler's veteran presence be inadvertently stunting Kuminga's confidence and development? Is it possible that Kuminga feels marginalized and that frustration is trickling into his demeanor on and off the court? Of course, every roster has growing pains. Remember back in 2016 when Draymond earned his first All-Star nod? The team around him had to adjust roles, align egos, and embrace a collective vision. The same is true for Kuminga now. There's also an argument that Steve Kerr, a four-time champion as a coach, is simply making a calculated move for our playoff push. If Kerr believes Kuminga's current skill set doesn't mesh with Jimmy's ISO-heavy usage or our small-ball defensive rotations, then benching him might be a short-term sacrifice for long-term success. But fans can't help but wonder, is Kerr giving Kuminga enough of a chance to learn, or is he effectively boxing him out of Golden State's plans? Let's dive deeper into the numbers. During the stretch when Kuminga played alongside Butler, the Warriors' offensive rating dropped from around 120 to the mid-110s, despite Steph and Klay remaining the same lethal shooters. Meanwhile, defensive lapses appeared more frequently when Kuminga was tasked with covering agile wings like Austin Reeves or Jordan Poole's former teammates on the Rocket roster. Contrast that with Andrew Wiggins, whose two-way efficiency has boosted the team's net rating whenever he shares the court with Butler and Green. Could that be the decisive factor? Is Wiggins, a former All-Star known for his defensive tenacity, simply a safer bet in high-stakes matchups, leading Kerr to favor him over Kuminga until Miner's issues are resolved? But here's where things get murkier. Rumors abound that Kuminga's relationship with the coaching staff has frayed. Whispers that he showed up late to team meetings, or that he's been less vocal in film sessions, have circulated among insiders. Could that be a classic case of a young prodigy navigating the shift from raw talent to disciplined professional? Or, more provocatively, might there be a rift between him and someone in the front office, someone who believes his ego is outpacing his maturity? In a franchise built on synergy and selflessness, any hint of individualism can be a red flag. Yet, is this perceived attitude issue truly a reflection of his character, or just a momentary lapse as he grapples with the pressure of expectations in a storied organization? Meanwhile, fan reaction has been a roller coaster. On Reddit, threads debate whether Kuminga's benching is a blessing in disguise, an opportunity to reset his three-point mechanics and refine his defensive instincts under reduced pressure. Others lament that the young wunderkind is missing out on critical playoff experience. Even Die-Hard Warriors podcasts have dedicated segments to dissecting every lineup change, analyzing minute-by-minute data, and speculating on the potential long-term impacts. There's talk that some G-League call-ups like Trace Jackson-Davis are earning minutes because they've earned trust in January and February, making it even harder for Kuminga to re-enter the rotation. Could this be a classic case of a prove it challenge, where Kuminga must demonstrate not just flashes of brilliance but consistent reliability and buy-in to Golden State's collective ethos? Another angle. Consider the historical context of young prospects in big-market teams. Steph Curry was once a slender guard overlooked for athleticism. Klay Thompson was a second-round pick who needed time to develop lethal shooting. Meanwhile, Kuminga was a lottery hype, an athletic marvel who came in with sky-high expectations. Sometimes franchises risk overloading their young core with veteran demands, leading to uneven developmental arcs. Could this be the Warriors allowing Kuminga to learn the hard way, trusting that adversity will forge his championship-caliber mindset? Or, cynically, are they simply deprioritizing his role because they believe other pieces offer a stronger win-now outlook? Let's not overlook the silver lining. Every great biography has a pivotal chapter where the protagonist faces a setback. Draymond was criticized for his early career technical fouls. Klay battled injuries nearly derailing his trajectory. Steph endured a foot surgery that forced him to reinvent his game. Kuminga, at 21, is at his own crucible. If he can use these DNPs as motivation, retooling his shot mechanics, embracing a more vocal leadership role in practice, and showing unwavering commitment to the defense, he could emerge as an even more rounded star next season. Could this temporary benching be the very crucible that tempers him into a future cornerstone? As we gaze toward the playoffs, the million-dollar question looms. When and how will Jonathan Kuminga re-enter this lineup? Will he remain sidelined until late May, when the Warriors seek fresh legs against lengthier forwards? Or will Kerr gradually reintegrate him perhaps in blowout situations, to rebuild confidence. We've already seen whispers that if Kuminga can demonstrate mental resilience and lock down his three-point shooting above 30%, he could earn rotational minutes as early as the first round. But nothing is guaranteed in the high-stakes world of NBA championship pursuits. Is it possible that this benching sets a precedent, signaling to other young players that no one is above earning every minute? Or does it risk alienating a budding star just when the franchise needs to strike the right balance between veteran savvy and youthful exuberance? But before we continue, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report so you never miss an update on Jonathan Kuminga's journey and every twist this season throws our way. As we pick up where we left off, the question on everybody's mind is simple. How does Kuminga claw his way back into Steve Kerr's rotation if he even can? In the coming days, practice reports will be pivotal. Sources close to the team indicate that Kaylee and the coaching staff have scheduled extra shooting sessions for Kuminga to regain his confidence from beyond the arc. If he can push his three-point percentage back above 30% in controlled scrimmages, Kerr might reconsider his benching approach. Yet there's more to earning minutes than just a hot hand. Kuminga must demonstrate laser focus and unwavering hustle on the defensive end. Rumor has it that Draymond Green has personally committed to mentoring him, drilling drop-cover rotations and closeout fundamentals after every practice film session. If Kuminga buys into that tutelage, he could remind everyone why he was a lottery pick in the first place. Meanwhile, the medical staff has been monitoring his ankle recovery closely. Although he returned to full contact practices 5 weeks ago, subtle nagging soreness was noted during limited scrimmages. Experts suggest that any hesitation, even subconsciously, can affect shooting mechanics. That might explain the precipitous dip in his three-point accuracy. If the trainers can tweak his gait to eliminate pain points, we may witness a more confident, fluid shooting stroke. But even if his mechanics improve, time is not on his side. The postseason looms, and Kerr's margin for error shrinks with every game. If the Warriors secure a top 4 seed or face a grueling play-in scenario, there might be little room to reintegrate a rookie whose track record this season raises cautionary flags. On one hand, there's precedent for Kerr's willingness to insert young players in high-pressure moments. Just recall when Jordan Poole emerged as a reliable bench spark in last year's playoffs. On the other hand, controversial benchings can leave lasting scars on a player's psyche. Ask Wiggins how being shuffled around early in his career affected his trajectory. Can Kuminga navigate that psychological minefield and re-emerge as a legitimate playoff contributor? In the community, conversation threads on Reddit and fan podcasts highlight that Kuminga's charismatic work ethic remains undiminished. Many recall his viral summer camp highlights when he dunked over 2 defenders back in 2022. That same energy reportedly pervades the locker room, even if it hasn't translated to consistent game minutes. Some teammates privately laud his relentless training ethic, being the first on the court at shoot-arounds, staying late to work on mid-range pull-ups, and volunteering to scrub defense drills under the eyes of Kerr's assistants. That level of internal support suggests Kuminga could explode back onto the scene if he seizes the next opportunity, be it a garbage-time bucket or a brief stint in a blowout win. If he can channel that momentum, the storyline could flip from washed rookie to warrior reborn faster than anyone expects. Yet let's not overlook the elephant in the room: public perception. The Bay Area's media landscape can be unforgiving. A subpar performance in his next appearance could spawn headlines questioning whether Golden State misjudged his ceiling or whether he'll ever materialize into a true long-term piece. Conversely, a spectacular showing, say torching the Lakers in a late-season intrastate matchup, could refocus the narrative squarely on his potential. Imagine the next ESPN headline reading, "Kuminga's Redemption Arc, from bench warmer to Bay Area beacon." That shift could energize Dub Nation more than any splashy trade rumor ever could. As the regular season winds down, every remaining matchup gains significance. If the Warriors lock down a top 3 seed, Kerr might lean on veterans to preserve momentum, further delaying Kuminga's return. But if a mid-seed finish materializes, we could see Kawhi's rotations lean into situational tarnish-the-league tactics, deploying Kuminga in strategic bursts against slower forwards or in small ball lookaways when mismatches emerge. Could that targeted usage be the litmus test for his readiness? Only time will tell. Now, as we look ahead to the final weeks before the playoffs tip off, Warriors faithful must brace for a roller coaster. Every practice update, every whisper from the coaching staff, and every subtle lineup tweak could signal that Kuminga's chance is near, or that the franchise has quietly moved on. The beauty of this NBA landscape is its unpredictability. A single practice report noting an improved pull-up or a tweet from Kerr praising Kuminga's laser focus could ignite a literal wildfire of excitement. But without that spark, doubt will fester, and the young prodigy may find himself relegated to future dormancy. So here's my burning question to all of you. Do you believe Jonathan Kuminga can reestablish himself as a key rotation piece for this year's playoff push? Or has this benching revealed a ceiling that Golden State simply cannot afford to wait for? Personally, I remain cautiously optimistic. I've seen those sunrise shooting sessions, I've heard the whispers about his renewed defensive tenacity, and I know this franchise deeply values players who persevere through adversity. If there's anyone who can weather this storm, it's Kuminga. That said, I also recognize the brutal nature of playoff basketball. There's no room for half measures or lingering hesitation. I can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Kuminga's star will rise again this season? Or will this setback mark a pivotal fork in his career? Let's ignite that conversation and let the world know how true Dub Nation feels about our young breakout star. If you found this analysis enlightening, show your support by hitting like, subscribing to Warriors News Fan Report, and turning on notifications so you're first in line for every exclusive update. Because in this golden moment of uncertainty, every voice matters. Stay strong, stay proud, and as always, stay golden.